An update on Ashraf Lazar. How's he this morning?
Well, we actually won't know the severity of it until this afternoon, where he'll have a scan. We've let him have 48 hours until until we can reassess it, really, basically. So he's having a scan this afternoon. We'll know a little bit more, but you have to say the early stages don't look good for the boy, to be perfectly honest. But fingers crossed that it's not as bad as we fear.
Sam Hutchinson came off.
He's okay.
He's all right. So
he's okay.
How positive a news is that then?
Well, it was with the condition of the game, and when we were okay, we wrapped him in cotton wool a little bit, so he was a little bit tight and a little bit sore in the hamstring area, but he's fine.
When you're looking at players like Sam and to a certain lesser extent now Lazar, given the way you now want this team to play with a higher degree of energy and a higher press, do you have to think more about the little injury problems they might get?
Well, I think the biggest thing of everything when change is we're all a little bit sceptical of change. We all don't like it in your own life. You're a bit worried about it. But the change really is the lads have, I think, enjoyed it. Of course, it's very difficult to implement when you walk through the door in February. And also, I have to say, we've had 10 injuries the other night, and now with Lazar, all of a sudden, it's ridiculous numbers. So it is something which I have to address. But as in terms of the style of play that we want to try and implement, then I think the players have enjoyed what they're doing. Of course, when you get a couple of results, everybody enjoys it. So long may it continue. But it's something which I have to be wary of, because different training methods, different this, different that, is maybe a little bit different to what they're used to. So I've got to box a little bit clever if I can, but it's something that we're going to have to address. The amount of injuries the club has picked up and where we've been in terms of long-term injuries. I don't know a club like it. I mean, you can get one, but I think we've had 4 or 5, which is not very good.
Is that process underway, or is
it's just something.
The
Look, the most important thing for me now is getting the team to produce in a certain way and getting a result. That always eases the hell on any manager. The thing is, looking long term will be the next few weeks, months, is why, and that's something which is always difficult. It could be just we've been unlucky, but certainly when you see the amount of long term injuries the club have had over the last 18 months or so, it's not good.
Fox, how's he today?
I think Fox is looking to join in training. We'll see how he is today. He's still a little bit ginger with it, but we hope he's going to be okay.
Is anybody else an issue for Monday night?
Well, Jordan, we're monitoring it. We're monitoring him. The ones that you can probably reel off are still there. So, but we look as if apart from Lazar, then we haven't picked up anything else from the other night.
Just on those long term,
there's one with Lazar, which you can train as much as you like, and when you're not going to be picked, you train within yourself, because you're not going to play on a Saturday, and there you go into a horrible vicious circle where yes, you tick over and you play, but the intensity of the championship now is huge, and I should have been a bit better with the boy, but with Foxy being injured as well, then. And of course, the lad was beaming. He played well and had a great debut. But I kicked myself really a little bit.
Is it something that I appreciate? That the medical staff will lead the way on this, but is it something you think could be quite long term then with him?
I've been in a long time, and
months.
It's common sense. A lot of it. You haven't played a lot to be played twice, and as I said, now the intensity of the games are huge. You're asking a fullback, or you're asking Lazar he done 11.5k on Saturday, and you ask him to go back into the race again and do it again. I mean, maybe he wasn't ready.
Do you think it's weeks or months? What's your sort of view with Lazar?
Weeks, but at least 6, I would have thought.
How important is it that you go into the Steel City derby then in good form?
Well, I've always said in a derby, form goes out the window it's on the night, it's on the occasion, who handles it the best, who handles the situation better, who doesn't make the mistake. Is the derby game going to be a flash of genius, or is it going to be a mistake? And all of them things come into effect. Let's look forward to it. I always say, you know, the whole of the country will be watching the Sheffield game on Monday night. Let's make it a spectacle. And yes, there's always going to be huge rivalry. Just keep it at a huge rivalry, and let the best team win.
How important is it then that the players do deal with the occasion? Because sometimes, or invariably in Steel City derbies in the past, they've been quite tense, they've been quite edgy, so the games that are very memorable are actually quite rare.
Yes. How often do you see that? You see it in derby games a lot, don't you? Nobody's frightened to make a mistake. They're tense, they're nervous, everybody's on edge. That's the derby. How often do you see it in a big game? You know, just seen it at the weekend. Two of the big teams in the Premier League, Man U and Liverpool. It wasn't great of a spectacle, was it?
No.
How often do you see it in a cup final? You know, where you see, oh, I'm looking forward to this game, and they end up being damp squibs. It's all about one thing: getting a result and winning for your supporters. So they go to work the next morning in a better frame of mind than the opposing team. So it means a lot to the supporters. Of course it does.
Do you think it might be like that on Monday, or is it perhaps naive to think that, well, Sheffield Wednesday have upped their game recently, Sheffield United have played some good football
well,
this year?
I hope it's a really good spectacle. My experience tells me that they never usually. Although I witnessed one last year, it was a very, very decent game. It was littered with mistakes, I have to tell you. So I think that's the most important thing, you know, is the concentration levels, and don't make a mistake.
What's your take of Sheffield United then from this side of the city?
Well, before I came here, you have to take your hat off to Chris and what he's done. From getting them out of League One to where they finished last year, played in a certain way, played a certain style. So you have to be very complimentary about them. Of course you do. And I've got the huge respect for Chris. And however, it's our job and my job to try and beat them. And, you know, they have been very, very good over the last couple of years, 2-3 years. And a lot of that's down to the management stills of Chris, who, you know, you look at what he's achieved at the lower clubs he's been at, he's done very, very well. He's a very capable manager, and a good person too.
I was going to say, do you know him? Have you met him much on the circuit down the years? Yeah.
I had him as a player, yeah, long time ago. Had him as a player, and of course, you know, when you've had somebody you watch at Sheffield.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you get the impression then that Chris Wilder might turn himself into a manager one day?
I don't think I was there long enough to get to know him, to get to know him. But certainly over the last few years, he's been outstanding in his work, and you know you have to pay a big compliment to him and his staff. He's very good. It's as simple as that. In
your experience of being involved in teams that have been at the top of the Championship, do United look like genuine contenders?
Well, they are genuine contenders, absolutely. You know, with 10, 11 games to go, wherever it is, 12 games to go, and you're sitting second in the league, you are a contender. And, you know, the tickly bit's around the corner. So, in all of that, around the corner is how they handle that situation. But I'm not really interested in how well they're doing, I have to say. It's what we achieve. So, we know it's going to be a tough game, but make no mistake, it'll be a tough game for them too.
Obviously there are many different layers to this match on Monday, but were Sheffield Wednesday to beat a side going for automatic promotion, what evidence would that provide of their recent progression then?
Well, we've took some small steps, that's all it is really. You know, I'm delighted the way the results have gone. Of course the players are tuning into what we're trying to achieve, and it's happened quite quickly, which is always nice. It's when it doesn't happen quickly then it becomes a problem. But I think people are realistic enough to know and sensible enough to know that it is only small steps. We've only just arrived in the building. There's a big summer ahead. We haven't given up hope ourselves. We can't. And we'll just carry on. We are certainly better than we were a couple of months ago. You know, but how often do we see that? New manager, fresh ideas, results go, and that's why, unfortunately, clubs change manager too frequently. You know, they usually as an effect, and when you come in, the one thing you want to try and do is have a little bit of an effect, and thankfully results have shown that we're doing something okay.
And not just with Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, the table is quite, constricted right now. Your reaction when we said to you you were 6 points off the other day, you went, wow.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago we were 12. Yeah. Was that the end of it after Rotherham? Within 2 weeks we're talking about it again. I think that's why I always say that's the beauty of the Championship. You know, that's why I enjoy. There's not a dominance. If you'd have said no disrespect to Sheffield or Norwich, or would they be competing at the top end of the division? I don't think they were the bookies' favourites, but you know, that's the beauty of the Championship. Like I keep saying, there's always a surprise. Anybody can beat anybody because there's not a gulf. It's the consistency level that you need to find when you're in the Championship. There's not a gulf in class like there is in the Premier League. You were seen last night, Liverpool blow away, you know, and there's not that in the Championship at all.
Are you expecting some stick from the away end?
I think I've had stick all my life, you know. I think that does never change. Never change. I'm supposed they'll have something up their sleeve.
I dare say they
I don't think it'll be very complimentary either.
Invariably not. You've obviously, in your playing career and your managerial career, you've been involved in many of the big city derbies, in whichever capacity that happens to have been. Do you notice that within each city there are perhaps small differences? So you'll get the experience of the Steel City derby on Monday as a manager, Manchester derby, that will have its own little traits to it, etc., etc.
Yeah, there's usually though there are fierce rivalry, whether it's Norwich Ipswich, where I've been involved with, the Manchester one, the Tyneside one, the Birmingham one. They all have their certain rivalry, and the one thing for sure in the derby game, it is for the supporters. You know, it means something to them because it's been going on 100 and odd years. You know, this rivalry hasn't just appeared. So it's the shouting, it's the bragging rights. So it's great if you can get a result for them, and looking forward to it. That's why I say, you know, big games, big derby games. That's what we're all in it for, really. You know, it really, the juices start flowing and the adrenaline starts going, and it's enjoy the occasion. And
in the sort of the maths of it all, many of the sides above you, well, Ayla have played anyway, but some of them are playing each other. Yeah. So this could be quite a significant weekend for
How many games is left? I haven't even looked. How many looked on?
12.
12 to go. When I was at Birmingham, we hit a run about 12 to go. You never know. We're hitting a good bit of form. Can we continue it? Can we keep it going? We've got some big games coming up. So we've given ourselves a little chance. It's got everybody a little bit excited, but I think the big thing for me is that, you know, small steps. That's all we've taken so far. You know, we've done okay in the last month, but that's all it is.
How many wins do you think you realistically need?
I haven't really looked at that. I haven't really looked at that, but and I haven't put myself under that microscope yet. Who knows? Can we get them? That's the question. Can we give ourselves a chance? That's all we can ask. And whether that means you need to win 6 or 7 of them, or you need to win 8 of them, who knows?
Going back a number of years, what do you remember about your time at United as a manager?
Well, I'll always be internally grateful because they gave me a chance. I was player manager, so that in itself was difficult. I played my last ever game of football for them. You know, I retired after we got lost to Sunderland. But it was a difficult start. There was many difficulties in the club above me, but they gave me the first breakthrough. It made me learn very, very quickly about management. Let me tell you that it's all what's not written on the tin when you get in there, and certainly what that was all I'm going to say about it, because it was many difficulties.
Did you still think that you would be in management 21 years on?
Well, after I left Huddersfield, I had a wonderful opportunity to go and work in the TV, and I thought long and hard about it and very nearly did it, because thinking that, you know, when you have to sell your centre forward on deadline day and you're second top of the league at Huddersfield, you have to sell your centre forward to balance the books, then that gives me a wake-up call, you know, when you're second top of the league with 12 games to go, you're selling your main man. And I don't think the Huddersfield fans have ever forgiven me, you know, and of course the manager gets the wrath. But, so in that time, I was going to go on the TV, so did I think I was going to do 20 years? Dave Whelan, my first time in management, Dave Whelan was the first real chairman who I thought, do you know what it is? Yeah, quite enjoy it. Yeah. Before that was difficult. Let's just put it that way. The two clubs.
It's 19 years since Wednesday were in the Premier League. It's over 10 years since Sheffield United were in the Premier League. How much does this city need a team back in the Premier League?
You know, it's a huge, you know, it's a huge city which requires it's a bit similar to the North East. You know, they need the two clubs in the Premier League, and the two clubs would embrace the Premier League because it's got a big hardcore support. But as we've seen for both clubs, it's not very easy. You know, there's big clubs in this championship, you know, and that's where we've all got to aim for. That's what we want. That's why I am sitting here. Can we mount a challenge? Can we get up and take the club into where it wants to be? And let's hope we can try and do that.
Wednesday 12, United the second. Do we think are we starting to see the good times come back? Do you think?
Well, I hope so. I mean, look at, you know, our neighbours have been doing very well of late. You know, they mounted a challenge last year and just fell away short. But you know, and they're thereabouts again this time. So, you know, over the last couple of years, they've made big strides to be at the top end of the championship, where 2-3 years ago they were in Division 1. So they've made big strides, and that's what we've got to look to as well.
You've already faced them as a manager this season. What did you take?
Well, they give us a hiding. One of the reasons probably why I got the sack at Aston Villa. They give us a hiding. They're a good side. They're a good team. And as I said, I've got the hugest respect for Chris and what he's achieved. It'll be a really, really tough game. However, it's a derby. Let's behave ourselves, both sets of supporters, enjoy the occasion, and the whole country will be watching. Make it a memorable one. That's always what you want. We don't want any ugly scenes in it. We want to show what the Sheffield city is, and I think that's vitally important.